The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing, excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives there. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock on his door. He stays in his lurkin' on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of miffler moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks. He tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snoove, a secret strange hole in his groovyless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, from the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Schlup. Down schlups the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler whispers are not very clear, since they've come down through the snurgulous hose that sounds as if he had as smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the songs of the swami swans sang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile of fresh morning breeze. And under those trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade of the truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was softer than silk, and they had a sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I'd built a small shop, and I chopped down a truffula tree in one chop. And with great skillful skills and a pretty speedy speed, I took the soft tufts and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked, and I saw something pop out of a stump of a tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him, it's hard. Don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I'm the Lorax, and I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing that you've made out of my truffula truffs? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful, for this thing is a thneed. A thneed is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, a sock, a glove, it's a hat. It has other uses, yes, far beyond that, for you can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covering it for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you're crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. At that very moment, proved he was wrong, for just at that moment a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You can never tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room in no time at all, built a radio phone, and I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Snitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. They were knitting thneeds as busy as bees to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh, baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now the chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and the Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door and he snapped, I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thank you for hacking my trees to the ground. There's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They've loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of thieves I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds and biggering my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes, and that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled. He sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a croculous croak. Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, they can't sing a note, and no one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog that you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, let me say a few words about the gluppity-glup. Your machine chugs all day and all night without stop, making gluppity-glup and schloppity-schlop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, too. You're glumping the ponds where the humming fish hum. They can no longer hum, for their gills are all gummed. I'm sending them off, and their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so schmeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say, bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring I'm biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack from outside in the field, gave a sickening smack, the axe on a tree. Then we heard a tree fall. The last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles, my aunts, everyone, I'll wave goodbye. They jumped in my cars and drove away under smothered stars. And now what was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Gave me a very sad backwards glance. He lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through the hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks in one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. But there was a long, long ago, and each day since that day I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I have worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, called the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffulus seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and a truffula trees is what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, feed it fresh air, grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. That's the end of the Lorax. It's springtime, guys. Get out in the yards, plant something.